Hello. Today I'm going to do a fun fold card. It's the double side step because there's 2 steps on it. Okay, so, or it's called the center step, I believe. So, alrighty, so how to make this. Came out really pretty. Okay, so we need a half sheet of cardstock going long ways. So that's 4 1/4 by 11 inches. Yep, you just cut it straight down the center. Okay, then we need cutting board because we are going to cut it at, I've got my dimensions down here. So first we're going to measure up. We want to cut in at 1 inch. Okay, so I want to show you this. So we're gonna measure up 1 inch up here, and then up to 2 inches, and do a score line on both sides. 1 inch up, 2 inches up, score line on both of those marks. Okay, then we're gonna do a score at 5 1/2 inches, but don't do anything yet. And at 6 1/2 inches, there's a score. Okay, so the very first actual score mark we're going to make is at 6 1/2 inches. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that because that will define where the card is going to fold in half. So let's go ahead and put this here, and at, I said 6 or 6 1/2? 6 1/2. Okay, I want to make sure I'm doing it right. Okay, 6 1/2. Go ahead and score it. All right. So then we can go ahead and we can fold that in half, and this is the back of the card and this is the front of the card. Okay, so the big portion is the front. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we may as well do the other scores. I'm trying to maneuver too many things here. Let's get these cutting boards out of my way. All right, I don't need that one. I'll need the other one. Okay, so we're going to need, whoops, we're going to want to work on this side. All right, so we need to mark this at 1 inch and 2 inches. Okay, and then it's a lot easier if we do it this way. So that 1 inch mark, then we can go ahead and mark this to match it at 1 inch, and then the 2 inch mark. Just put your ruler on there, and then we can move that over just a wee bit. There we go. Okay, so we've got that, the 1 inch and the 2 inch marked. Then we need to mark the 5 1/2 inch. Okay, so 5 1/2 inches right here. And the reason why I'm using the ruler is because I want to go in 1 inch. One inch is about right here. Okay, and then we need to go in 1 inch on this portion, and we need to go up to 5 1/2 inches, which is right here. So 1 inch in, across to 1 inch over here. Okay, so we're just going to make that. That's going to be a fold line. So, but first we have to cut from down on the bottom up to the top here. Okay, so see how this is cut? That's what we're going to do. So in order to make that cut, then we need this cutting board back up here. And we're going to lay this on here. And we're going to go over 1 inch. Okay, so there's the 1 inch. And then we're going to find 5 1/2 inch mark right up here. So there's the 5 inches. We're going to move this up to 5 1/2 inches. Okay. We're right at 5 1/2 inches, so press that cutter in and go ahead and cut down to the 1 inch mark. Okay, there we go. So that side is done. So now we're going to do the same thing with the other side. So line it up at 5 1/2 inches. Okay, there. We're going to set this at 1 inch, which is right here. We're going to turn this over. Whoops, move that back down to 5 1/2 inches. We're going to go ahead and press that down. press this down and maneuver it down to the 1-inch mark. Okay, we're down to that 1-inch mark. That's the only cut we need to make, are these two. Okay, so that's it. Oh wait, we needed to cut all that all the way up to the edge. I'm sorry. Not 5.5 inches, silly me. It needs to go to, whoops. Am I in there? Yes, I am. Okay, I'm sorry. I need to go all the way up to the 6.5 inch. 6.5 inches, that's better. Okay, and then go back on to the 1 inch over here. Cut that at 6.5 inches. So we're at the 6.5 inches, and then cut it down. Okay, so that's where our cuts are going to be. Okay, so from the fold line all the way down to the 1 inch mark. Okay, so now we're done cutting. All right. So now we're going to take and we're going to lay this on here, and we're going to use our ruler, and we're going to do a fold line. Looking at this, not all the way across the middle panel, just on the 2 edges. We're going to do at the 10-inch mark, because we need to go in 1 inch, which is right here. So 1 inch over to the cut mark, and then 1 inch over to the cut mark. So that's the 1st inch. Now the 2nd inch will be at inch number 9. Okay, so put your ruler right before inch number 9, so you have room to score this, because now we're going to go ahead and we're going to score these 2 sides. Okay. Now, then we're going to need to go up to the 5 inch, or the, that's 1 inch down. So we need to come in here where we've marked it here. So this is at, how far is this one? I never measured this to see how big this was. That should be 1 inch. Yes, it is. All right. So from here down to here is 1 inch. All right. So we're just gonna do this on the 5.5 inch mark here. Turn my ruler around again. All right, so the line that I drew, I'm going to erase that, except for the 2 very edges, so that way we can see where it does go. Alrighty. All right, so now at 5.5 inches, we're going to put the ruler right before 5.5 inches, and we're going to go ahead and score from one side to the other on the inside piece only. Okay, so first we cut it from the 1 inch mark up to the 6.5 inch mark. 1 inch up to the 6.5 inch. So we've got the cut. Then we're going to lay it down on the board, and we're going to measure in 1 inch and score from the outer edge in 1 inch, from the outer edge in 1 inch, from the outer edge in 1 inch, from the outer edge in 1 inch. And this is at the 2 inch mark. So there's 1, 2 inches. Okay. Then at the 5.5 inch mark, we're going to go ahead and score just the middle section, not the outside section. All right. So now we've got this. Alrighty. So now we need to look at this, okay, and look at my pattern here. This is going to be folded over like so. Okay, so this is a mountain fold. This next fold is going to be a mountain fold. So go ahead and pinch it up. That's a mountain fold. Okay. The very first 1 inch mark are going to be a mountain fold. Okay. The 2 inch mark, so that's the second one, is going to be a valley fold. So fold it backwards. Okay, so mountain, valley, mountain, mountain, valley, mountain, and then mountain. Now you should be able to lay this down and line this up at the bottom here, and then go ahead and burnish this down. Burnish all your side edges. Okay, and we now have our card front. So this is our card front, okay? Alrighty. And this one was off a little bit, so, but I did write the correct measurements down. Alrighty. So now we have a card with with the double side steps. Now we just get to decorate it. Okay, so now I can turn this over because that's where I've written what size these are, these panels. Okay, so we need a piece that is, for this middle piece, we need a piece that is 2.5 inches wide by 5 1/4 inches long. Okay, so we've got this piece. So that's one piece we need to cut. The other pieces we need to cut 2 pieces that are 4 6/8 long by 3/4 inch wide, and that's for these ones. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut those 3 first, and then we should have the rest off. All right, so if we're cutting this at 5 1/4 is the longest. All right, so let's cut the 5 1/4 first. I put it right here. Okay. All right, so we need to cut this at 5 1/4. So there's 5 1/4 right there. Okay, so that's the longest one. And we're cutting this middle piece right here, okay, because we want it to come all the way down to here. So we've got this done. So now we need to cut it at 2.5 inches wide. Let me double check this and make sure. It's a good thing I'm looking because, no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong one. This 2 inch here. It needs to be 2 inches. Yes, okay. Oh my goodness. Got to look at the right one, Barbara. Okay, so 2 inches. There we go. So this is for this piece here. Okay, so then we need to cut the other 2. So these need to be 4 6/8 inch long. So 4 6/8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right there. So that is 4 3/4 inch long. Okay, so just cut off the bottom, and then we cut it at 3/4 inch wide. So that would be right here, 3/4 inch wide. And there we go. And 3/4 inch wide. There we go. All right, so these are for the 2 sides right here, and they get tucked all the way down inside, and I've cut that too long. All righty. How did I manage that? I wrote it down wrong. As a matter of fact, I remember doing that last time also. So let's see how tall this should really be. Pushing it all the way down to the bottom. I'm going to mark this, and I need to remark this. So it needs to be not 4 3/4. It needs to be, oh, that's what I did. All right. It's 4 3/8, not 6/8. Alrighty, so change that 3/8. Alrighty. So let's get both of these and cut them at 3/8. 4 3/8. So lay it there, 1, 2, 3, and snip that off. Okay. There we go. Much better. Yep, and that fits right up to the top there. All right, very good. Perfect. Okay, now we need the bottom piece. And we should be able to just have this piece that's left over that fits, which it does. Perfect. So we have 1, 2, 3 little bits that are left off of a 4 by 6 inch piece. So, and that's what I usually cut my 12 by 12s down to. And decorative paper is by 4 by 6 inch sheets. So if you have one 4 by 6 inch sheet, you can make this card. That will be perfect. Okay, and then half a sheet of cardstock, which makes one card. Alrighty, so now we can either, I think I'm just going to go around this with marker. I did actually trim this one with blue construction paper, but I think that'll just leave it. No, maybe I'll just leave it because I like the white trim around this. That's pretty neat. So let's go ahead and glue this on. Gotta make up my mind, huh? Okay, so let's glue this big piece down first. Alrighty, kind of put that right in the middle here. Very good. Perfect. Go ahead and get this side piece. Where did I put my big rubber? Right there. Alrighty. Put that right up against the edge there. Okay. Then we'll get this one. Alrighty, very good. Perfect. There. And then we just need to glue this piece on. And I'm going to line it right up with the bottom of this piece. There, and then center it. There we go. So that's all colored in now. All right, so let's go over the measurements again. So when we're cutting it, we're going to cut from, we're going to take the half sheet long ways. Okay, so for cutting it, we're going to, first we're going to score it at 6.5 inches. Fold that. Okay, so that's your first thing that you do. Then you're going to turn it upside down and you're going to cut from 1 inch in all the way up to the 6.5 inch line. From 1 inch in all the way up to the 6.5 inch line. Okay? Then you're going to turn it sideways and you're going to score it at 1 inch, 1 inch, 2 inch, 2 inch, both on the outside. Then all the way up to 5.5 inches, just the middle section. Okay? And that gives us, and I did this wrong too, mountain fold, mountain fold, mountain fold again here, mountain fold, and then mountain fold on the first one, valley fold up on the second one. Alrighty, and then lay it down and flatten it out. And then for the layers, then we turn this over, and the layers, the middle layer is 5 1/4 inches long by 2 inches wide. Okay, so it's this number here. The two side layers are 4 3/8 by 3/4 of an inch wide. The bottom layer is 4 inches by 3/4 of an inch wide. Okay, those are the measurements. The reason why I have other measurements that are circled is because if you want to, you can cut this instead of at 1 inch in, you can do it 3/4 of an inch in. And you can measure in here 3/4 of an inch. And that will give you the layering numbers a little bit different. So, but I wanted it to be wider on the outside than on the inside. I didn't care if this was skinny, because I knew that I was going to overhang my images, which I think looks really neat. Alrighty, so there you go. That's how to make a double side step card. Isn't that fun? And now we can go ahead and decorate this however we want. But I've already decorated this one in advance, so, because you don't need to see me sitting here decorating it. So I hope you like this idea. And have you ever tried it before? If so, let me know in the comments. And if you've not tried it before, then let me know that too. And if you like this card style and you enjoy the fun folds, then please give me a thumbs up so I know that you like this style and you'd like to see more fun folds. Okay? And until we meet again, happy crafting. Bye-bye.